This is the Implacable, a Tier 7 British aircraft carrier. That's right, British aircraft carriers are now in World of Warships Legends. And the special thing about the British carriers is carpet bombs. You can get many more bombs on target and potentially much more damage. And it's assumed that the Tier 7 aircraft carriers will have more yield from their torpedoes and their bombs. So with that, let's get into the setup of the ship and the commander, who is Dennis Boyd. His base trait is under the radar, reduces the ship's detectability from the air. As for inspirations, I'm going with a double health inspiration here with William Sims, built to last, gains HP bonus per ship tier at the rate of 320 hit points per ship tier. Second inspiration is Henry J. Hyde, Wrenchman Extraordinaire, increases your ship's hit points by 4.5%. So hopefully this will help out. I've been struggling with inspirations for the carriers, so now I'm going to try the health inspiration. I feel it's similar to the double concealment inspirations for the destroyers. As for skills, I have Contact is Eminent for the first skill. It will increase the travel speed of the torpedoes from the torpedo bombers. The second skill is One-Way Ticket. It increases the torpedo damage of the torpedo bombers. The third skill is Out of Sight. It improves the concealment and maximum HP of your dive bombers. The fourth skill is Burn Baby Burn. Increases the damage and the fire setting chances of your plane's HE bombs. So the first two skills are for the torpedo bombers. The second two skills are for the HE bombs. As for the legendary skill, I have the Vault. Increases the dive bomber and torpedo bomber HP while reducing the damage dealt to your aircraft carrier for as long as you're in the proximity of an ally. I have him ranked up to legendary rank 2, and the range to the allied ship to activate this effect is 2 kilometers. When you upgrade to rank 3, this increases to 2.75 kilometers. So let's take a look at how I've got the ship set up. The first upgrade is Flight Control Mod 1. Aircraft restoration time is reduced by 15%. I think you definitely want to do this. The second upgrade is Air Groups Mod 2. Increases the dive bomber HP and torpedo bomber HP by 3%. The third upgrade is Target Acquisition Mod 1. Spotting range and torpedo detectability range are increased by 20%, and RGA of ships is increased by 50%. The fourth upgrade is Air Groups Mod 3. Aircraft return speed is 25% increase, and the dive bombers and the torpedo bombers HP is increased by 4%. So I'm doing everything I can to increase the HP of your dive bombers and torpedo bombers. And now I have the rest of the default upgrades here. The first one we'll look at is the torpedo aircraft, which is Spearfish, and you can see by going to the upgraded aircraft, hit points will be increased 109 up to 2946. Maximum speed goes up 7 knots up to 160 knots. So we'll go ahead and select that. The next one is the HE bombers, and same thing. It's Spearfish aircraft. Hit points increase 182 up to 3634. Maximum speed goes up 6 knots up to 159. So we'll go ahead and select that. The last thing is the Implacable Hull B. Hit points for the hull is increased by 3030, and you can see with the commander upgrade here it's 56,790. Without the dual health build of the commander, that is 52,000 hit points, right around there. Rudder shift time with the Implacable Hull B is reduced by 5.3 seconds down to 13.5 seconds. So we'll go ahead and select that. Okay, let's look at the loadout. You have HE bombers and torpedo bombers, and each of these squadrons have engine cooling, patrol fighters, and evasive maneuver. So for the engine cooling, consumable duration is 5 seconds, reload time is 80 seconds, and there are 2 consumables. Patrol fighter consumable patrols the area and automatically attacks the enemy aircraft. Consumable duration is 60 seconds, reload time is 10 seconds, and you have 3 of these consumables. The last one is the evasive maneuver consumable. Incoming damage to your squadron is reduced by 50% while the consumable is active. Consumable duration is 10 seconds, reload time is 150 seconds, and there are 2 of these consumables. Then we have the auto consumables here. The damage control party auto consumable, which will extinguish the fires, remove instances of flooding, and repairs damaged modules. It activates automatically, runs for 60 seconds, reload time is 90 seconds, and the number of consumables is unlimited. The next one is the fighter auto consumable. It follows the ship and automatically attacks enemy aircraft. It activates automatically whenever your aircraft carrier is spotted by an enemy. Consumable duration is 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes. Reload time is 40 seconds, and you have 4 of these consumables. I'm not running any boosters, but during a battle I may add a booster. As far as the camo, I don't have any camo set up for the shakedown crews, but the British carriers do have some unique aspect of their camo, and what you'll see here is the camo covers the flight deck, and this was kind of a big deal on social media. There was a lot of mention about it. I couldn't figure out why I didn't like the camo on the British carriers until I saw that part on social media. I eventually went with the shadow camo. Sea detectability range and incoming fire dispersion is 4.5%. I've got it maxed out. But for the shakedown crews, you're going to see I didn't have any camo set up. Okay, let's look at the stats. Survivability is 56,790 hit points thanks to the double health inspiration of the commander. Armor is 13 to 114 millimeter. Torpedo damage reduction is 16%. Let's get into the aircraft. The torpedo bombers, hit points for the squadron is 2946. Maximum speed is 160 knots. Attack unit size is 2. There are 8 aircraft per squadron. Restoration time of the aircraft is 72 seconds. Maximum torpedo damage is 6,230. Torpedo speed is 39 knots, which I believe is the slowest among any aircraft carrier from any country. The British have the slowest torpedoes, and the torpedo range is 2.4 kilometers, which I think is also rather short. The dive bombers, hit points for the squadron for the HE bombers is 3634. Maximum speed is 159 knots. Attack unit size is 2. There are 6 aircraft per squadron. Aircraft restoration time is 81 seconds. Maximum bomb damage is 5768 with a 35% chance of setting fire. The artillery, there are 16 secondary guns, 4.5 kilometer range, 5-second reload time. Shell damage is 1700 with a 14% chance of setting fire. AA defenses, looks like there are a fair number of AA defenses here. Guess we'll see how effective they are in battle. Maneuverability, maximum speed is 32 knots, which is great. Turning circle radius is 950 meters. Rudder shift time, as we saw, is 13.5 seconds, and this is basically run by the AI anyway. Concealment is 13.3 kilometers by sea and 8.5 kilometers by air. The camo would reduce that a little bit, maybe half a kilometer or so. 1 kilometer at the most, but I think at least half a kilometer. Let's take a look at the armor. You can see there is a lot of orange here. It looks like the flight deck is armored, and we'll get into that in the overview perhaps. But you can see the citadel on the side does have some torpedo protection, it looks like. So let's remove the armor and take a look at the citadel. You can see it is all orange, but there's this huge amount sitting above the water. So okay, so that's what that is. There's nothing you can do about it. It's good to be aware that you have a great amount above the water. If you're going to get hit in the Citadel, you're kind of in big trouble anyway. Okay, and the flight deck is definitely armored. That is cool. So let's look at the overview. Carpet bombing. Dive bombers can drop a huge number of bombs at once. That is awesome. Armed and ready. Torpedoes are quick to arm after a drop, and that is great. A lot of times with the other nation's aircraft carriers, I was having a problem dropping my torpedoes too close to the target and they wouldn't arm. So this is awesome. Precision bombs. Aircraft with high precision bombs. That is awesome. We're going to be looking forward to getting a whole bunch of hits with these carpet bombs. The Implacable was the most advanced British aircraft carrier of World War II. She was inferior to her foreign counterparts of comparable dimensions in terms of the number of aircraft her air group comprised, but boasted a conceptual advantage that enhanced the ship's survivability, namely an armored flight deck, and that's what we saw in the armor view. Entered service in 1945, and there were 2 ships in the series. Well, that's it for the setup of the ship and the commander. Let's go out in a standard battle and see how the Implacable does. Alright, we're in standard, we're in north. And we're just going to kind of take a look around here. You see I do have 56,790 hit points on the aircraft carrier, so this is the double health inspiration of the commander. So we're going to take a look at the teams here, get an idea for who's out there. And first thing I'm going to do is do some pre-dropping, and the torpedo squadrons have 8 airplanes, and I'm going to drop 2 attack units to release 4 of the airplanes to go back to the aircraft carrier. So then my squadron will have 4 aircraft, and that way when I make my torpedo run on any of the red ships here, I don't lose the entire squadron. I'm only going to lose 4 at the most. With any luck, I'll be able to get a second torpedo run on them. But if you don't do that, you will quickly run out of aircraft. So this is definitely a tactic that you should start using at Tier 7, possibly Tier 5. So here's a Richelieu up here, and I'm going to take an initial run on him with the torpedoes. And you can see he's not really moving around very much. A lot of times the red team players will sit there and wait until they can see where the torpedoes are going, and then they will move their ships. But there are 2 good hits and a flooding, and you can see the flood is going for a little bit here. So this is going to rack up pretty quickly. So we went back to the aircraft carrier. You can see all 4 airplanes did get wiped out, so I'm going to do some pre-dropping again with the next squadron of 8 aircraft to end up with 4 like I did in the previous run. And so now we're up to 20,000 damage on torpedo hits because that flood is really going. So there we did the 2 pre-drops, and we have 4 aircraft left, and that's what we're gonna go ahead and start looking for another target. I would like to go back to that Richelieu because he is going. We're up to 30,000, so this flood is really devastating the Richelieu. And you can see he's still flooding. I'm heading over there, and I'm doing the evasive maneuver to try to prevent my aircraft from getting damaged. It's a 50% decrease in damage when you do the evasive maneuver. So now we're doing another 2 torpedo run on the Richelieu, and this looks like a couple more good hits here. This is going to be some more great torpedo hits, and this is 2 floodings and 2 more hits. So this guy is really in trouble. He's close to 50,000 damage that I've taken away from him. So this guy is in really big trouble, and the damage is racking up here on just 3 torpedo hits. So we haven't even gotten into the carpet bombing yet. So now I have a flight of carpet bombers, and there are 6 of them. And I'm gonna take a run over here and go right to the Richelieu. I think that's the Richie Lou up here. We'll see as we get closer. But he was so close, I didn't do any pre-dropping here, and we do have the six attack squadron here. So we're taking our dive bomb run, and we release the bombs right when you hit the center line of the ship. And those were 3 hits. We're up to 72,000 damage. It looks like the floods are still going, and the floodings really racked up the damage really quickly here. So we're up to 77,000 and climbing, 78,000. We're taking another carpet bombing run here, and we're releasing the bombs right on the center line of the Imagi, and there's 3 fires, so we're up to 100,000 damage plus, and it's right at the beginning of the match here. So this is looking great for this match. All 6 of the HE bombs got taken out there on the second run, so this time I am going to do some pre-dropping. I went with another flight of HE bombs again. So now you can see I'm doing pre-dropping, and we're going to end up with a flight of 4 aircraft. And the damage stopped at 103,000 damage. So this is looking great so far. This is a great score, especially for one of the early shakedown cruises with the ship. We're going to target this cruiser. Generally, the cruisers and the destroyers are kind of tough to hit, but here we're going to take a shot here, and that is not a great bomb drop there, but you see we do get 3 hits and a fire. So that is great. We're up to 109,000 damage. We're going to go at him again. And that looks like another good drop, but it was a miss. So it looked like that drop was a better lineup than the previous run. So now you can see we are down quite a bit. We're down 190 points to 367. We're down 1 ship, so it is not looking good for this match. We've selected the torpedoes again, and we are going to pre-drop some aircraft. So there's the first squadron, the first attack flight, and I'm going to release the second pair. So now we are going to have 4 aircraft again, and that's the size of the squadron. That is pretty much ideal. That way you always seem to have aircraft on deck when you go back. So here this New Orleans is looking really thin. He doesn't really have any health left. So right as we release those bombs, those torpedoes, the New Orleans gets taken out. You get close enough to that aircraft carrier and we get taken out. So good thing we didn't have the entire squadron there, because all of them would have probably gotten obliterated. And we're still at 109,000 damage. Here we are going to drop 2 of the HE bombers. Do some pre-dropping there. Okay, so we have 4 aircraft left, and that's what we're going to go on our attack run with, is these 4 aircraft. You can see that the battleship on the mini-map is getting kind of close, so I'm going to move out of the way, and I am going to angle over sort of in that direction to see if I could find some of the red team. See, that battleship is getting close enough to start hitting me. I think that's the battleship that's hitting me. It's probably this destroyer. Gotta go after the destroyer. Nope. Was thinking about it, but it looks like I'm down to the last ship. I'm the last survivor, so I'm going to go for as much damage as I can, and there's no way I'm going to survive this with 4 ships on the red team. So I'm looking to get more damage here. That looks like a great lineup on the Georgia. And there are 2 fires, So now we're up to 113,000 and counting. And we got taken out there, so now we're back to the aircraft carrier, and we launch with a squadron of torpedo bombers. So here we have 7 torpedo bombers, almost a full squadron, and we're not going to do any pre-dropping because the aircraft carrier may not be around to launch some more aircraft. So we're just going to go after the Georgia and ignore the destroyer, which has little chance of getting hit with my torpedoes. So I'm going to go after the Georgia because that has a much greater possibility of getting some torpedo hits. I'm just looking for damage at this point instead of winning the match. And that looked pretty good. And there's 2 torpedo hits, a high caliber metal and a flood, and that's it. The match is over. My Implacable was destroyed. All right, 230,000 credits, 124,000 damage, a Witherer medal, high caliber medal, 6 torpedo hits, 21 bomb hits. First place on my team. So even though we didn't win, still first place is pretty good. I'm happy with that on one of the initial runs, and 86,000 credits we cleared after it was all said and done. Well, that's it for the Implacable. You can score a massive amount of damage with the torpedoes and the carpet bombs. The torpedoes with the floodings and the carpet bombs with the fires. Next time you see the Implacable, it'll probably be running the Shadow Camo. This is the Jaguar, and I'll see you on the high seas. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you like it.